What is good people? You are now listening to another episode of Since We Last Spoke with Danny Foxworth. I am your humble narrator, Danny Foxworth, and once again, we are joined by not one, but two extremely special guests. Let me tell y'all something. This is special to me because, let's go back to the year was 2011. I was a mainstay on the OK Player message boards, and there was one particular thread that had somebody say, recommend some good podcasts out there. And I just started listening to podcasts. And the thread was probably about 400 posts deep. And quite literally, every post, it was either the Combat Jack Show or it was the Black Guy Who Tips. And I've been locked in with them ever since. And I'll never forget, first episode I listened to, it was Rob was, well, my guest, cat's out the bag now. But but he was talking about his playing hooping at the Harris YMCA, and Steve Smith was in there just being a jerk. And apparently he was just playing. He was like on some arch rival shit, just bullying people around and challenging people to fight.
He's strong.
Since then, I've been locked in ever since, and this is 13 years in the podcast game, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him, you love him. The pod father, the pod mother. We got Rod and Karen from the Black Guy Who Tips podcast. Rod and Karen, how are y'all doing this evening?
Great, bro. Thank you for having us, man. You're always a pleasure to be around. We met a couple times in person, man.
Yes.
I didn't even realize until it was either earlier this year or last year that I wasn't following you back on Twitter. Like I thought it was just I see your face so much.
I don't know. If
I just assumed I was, and
I'm sorry if I ain't.
Like it was just one of them days where like I went to like reply or something. I said, "Hey, wait a minute, what the fuck?" So that's like, but yeah, man, that's crazy. You go that far back with the show too, because like that's the early days. We was just starting out, and we was like saying all kinds of reckless shit. Now I'm like, if Steve Smith tackle a nigga in front of me now, I had to think about it because now I know he could hear it. But at the time, I said it's like 12 people listening to this shit. I'm gonna tell everybody his business.
So let's take it back to the very beginning for y'all. So growing up in Charlotte, North Carolina, Karen, I'll start with you. What was that like?
Oh, I love being in Charlotte. I was actually born in Albany, New York. And my aunt, who got me because my mother's mentally ill, she wasn't able to take care of me. So my aunt, who I call Mama, came and got me. And I've been down south since I've been 9 months old. So all my family up there call me country because they was like, "There's nothing about you this New York-ish." I was like, "No, no, I am country to my soul, and I have loved it. I don't think I could see myself living anywhere else. I've said it before, how people in New York love New York, and they can't understand why people don't love New York as much as they love New York. And I'm somebody where I love the South like they love New York. Like I love it down here, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. It's something special about it. It's something unique about it, and it's something that you can't get anywhere else. I've traveled around the country. You can't duplicate this.
And Rod, what was Charlotte like for you growing up?
Oh man, born and raised here, man. I've only lived here and Fayetteville when I was in college, and then I was in New York for a couple of extended stays when I was working on game theory. So I love my city, man. I love this. It's like an oasis because you're not that far from the beach. You're not that far from the mountains. You're not that far from Atlanta. You're not that far from DC. And it's still a lot of black people here. It's like, in the rural South, of North Carolina, like you still got like basically us, Greensboro, Raleigh, Durham. And it started getting kind of dicey once you get past that with like just being in a space where you can feel comfortable as a black person because you're not alone. So yeah, it's straight. Like I love it, and I've been enjoying living here my whole life. I wouldn't trade it for anything. When I was in New York, I missed home, man. To be honest, I know New York is the big glamour and glitz and everybody was like, "Oh, you living a dream," and all I could think about was, going to the Hornets games and getting all 4 seasons.
Yes, yes. And the cost of living is a lot cheaper here than other parts of the country, which people have a tendency to gloss over,
Well, that's the thing. Charlotte is now a place where like housing market's out of control, but it's all because people see how dope it is to try to come live here.
Right.
So now, you do have a lot of transplants that are driving up the cost of living in Charlotte.
Yes,
but
they are.
Being born and raised here, I'm not leaving. They're not getting me out of here.
And I remember the first time I went to Charlotte. Came up to Charlotte. This was probably 1991. And at that time, I was in the Boy Scouts, and I don't know if they still do this or not, but once a year, all of the Boy Scout troops from North and South Carolina got to camp out at Carowinds for an entire weekend.
Oh, I know that was a ball.
And for those of y'all that don't know, Carowinds is an amusement park that quite literally sits on the border between North and South Carolina. So we got there Friday evening. Then that Saturday, we woke up, we hopped in the 15-passenger van, and I remember just being so taken aback at being able to see skyscrapers from that far away. Like, I'm from Moncks Corner, South Carolina. I don't know shit about skyscrapers. Like, the closest skyscrapers I would see was whenever I would like drive through Columbia. And even then, I was like, wow, that's it. That's impressive. And I got to Charlotte. I was like, holy shit. It's like, I felt like I was in New York City. And so I remember walking around uptown. And we ate at the Penguin Penguin Drive-In, and we went to Eastland Mall, and oh my God.
Yes.
The fact
that
3
stories.
Like,
that used to be the spot.
The fact that there was multiple stories and they had a damn ice skating rink. I was like, I gotta come here more often.
Yeah, which is crazy because Eastland ended up being the hood mall after years of, gentrification and people moving around.
Right.
And I remember the last time I went to Eastland Mall and I knew like, oh, they about to shut this shit down because it was just nothing but black people there.
Yep.
And I think the power company, like where you go pay your bill, was like right in that same mall area, which is a staple of the black community. I can go put something on it real quick, then go see what's going on. And when I went in there at the time, it was candy stores, baby clothes stores, and shoe stores. And I said, oh no.
Yeah.
It's like it wasn't no regular stores no more. It was
all your ankle stores had left, like your Belks and your Ivies and your Dillard.
It was like Champs, Foot Locker, Finish Line, and then Babies R's, Biz that. I said, oh, this it. They done with this one.
Yeah, that is the death knell right there. All you got is a Foot Locker and a Babies R Us. You can cancel Christmas.
Yes, and Charlotte has evolved a lot over the years that we've been here. Because years ago, people used to joke Charlotte prior to Charlotte getting the Hornets. That's why Charlotte getting the Hornets was a huge thing here. And it literally put our city on the map.
Yeah.
And it brought a lot of people down here. And it's like when it comes to like banking, it's like one of the largest banking capital cities in the world. That's why we have a lot of transplants here that travel from all over the country to actually be here. And I know for me, when it comes to the Hornets, I love the Hornets. There's one reason why I love the Hornets, because I've loved them since the beginning. Same thing with the Panthers. I've loved them since the beginning. Like, that's going to be my football team, my basketball team, no matter how trashy they are, no matter, what they win, lose, or indifferent. That's going to be my jam.
Right on. And we're going to get into the Hornets talk a little bit later in the pod. So first, how did you two meet?
We lived in the same neighborhood. She lived like literally like a couple streets up, and we went to the same school, and
we know each other.
We became friends on the bus, going back and forth to school. She saved me a seat, and I sat next to her rather than sit with the bad kids in the back and shit like I had been sitting.
Yeah.
And then we just would talk. Karen can talk. She'll talk to anybody about anything.
I will.
And so, I was sitting next to her and just listen to her talk, and she would tell me about all kinds of stuff. And, I would be listening. I wasn't always doing a lot of talking myself, but I was always listening. And then, we became friends, and we would talk on the phone in the summer and stuff. I just call her and, be like, hey, what are you up to? And we'd sit and talk about whatever, Tom and Jerry or something like that.
Hours.
And that was basically, how we ended up meeting. And we were friends as kids for a long time.
Yeah, we've known each other of each other since like elementary school. We went to the same elementary, middle school, high school, and college.
Oh, nice. Okay. So what was the first date?
Karen asked me to go to a play.
This is pre-Tyler Perry.
It was Beauty Shop 2. And I was playing basketball in the backyard area behind my house with some ruffians, with some other fellow stay outside all day 15-year-old boys. We just out there sweating all day, smelling bad and fouling each other and shit. And Karen came to my house and asked, I guess my mom or my parents or something, if I was there. They're like, oh, he's out back playing basketball. She wanted to see if I would go to the the play. And she didn't like call and ask. She just like came to their house to ask. And I didn't realize, because we were friends, I didn't realize there was anything necessarily romantic about it. I looked at it like, oh, she just has an extra ticket. She can go with one of her girlfriends, or go with her mom. And so I said no. I was like, oh no, I'm good. Like, I'm gonna finish playing hot ball. We hooping.
Hurt my polar feelings. Hurt my pole. I was like, well, I guess he don't like me like that. Cause what had happened was that I had some tickets. My mom was like, well, why don't you ask that little boy you be talking to on the phone? I was like, okay, cool. So we end up driving down there because she was like, well, I want to, meet his parents and stuff like that. So that's why me and her kind of showed up together. And so when he said, I was like, well, I guess he don't like me like that. I was like, well,
and I don't, at the time, I was such a nerd. I didn't know nothing about no girls, bro. I was still playing with Transformers. My little brother had way more game than me. Like, I was just like, why aren't we just playing video games and fucking like basketball and shit all day? Why are we who even care about this girl thing? And so I'm hooping, and like, as I go to check up and hoop, I thought about it for a second. I was like, oh, I'm good. We'll do something another time. I'll see you at school Monday. And the homies just were like, because to them, it's like, that's their dream, is like a girl want to hang out with you and you leave us. You want to hang out with a bunch of sweaty dudes and shit. And I was like, as I thought about it, I was like, oh, wait. Oh, that was not like just hang out. That was like a date. And I said, oh man, I fucked up. And I ran, like dropped everything, ran to my house, and like got on the phone and called her and was like, I do want to go. I'm, my bad. I didn't understand. Like, I don't have anything to do. Let's go. And, I didn't even have, I was old enough to drive. I didn't have my license at the time. My parents hadn't bought me a car yet. So her
my
mom
took us,
drove us to the thing, which she probably would have wanted to do anyway. I mean, that's crazy as, but she drove us to the beauty shop, and we, it was a really funny play.
We had a ball.
I still remember one of the characters' name was, because it really, for all the people that shit on Tyler Perry, them plays is like Tyler Perry level.
Them plays was
and
fun.
Them plays be good to black people, man.
Yes.
It's why I ain't never really had a problem with Tyler, because I seen Beauty Shop. I said, I get it. It was quasi-religious.
Yes. Audience interaction.
It was a lot of black women going through a bunch of tribulations and a man putting them through it.
Yeah.
And I remember in this play, the dude's name was Trouble.
That was his name, y'all.
His name was Trouble. And
yes,
he was Trouble. He was.
He
was cheating, womanizing piece of shit. And of course, Jesus came and saved him and everything. But yeah, man, it was a good time. And then I think waiting for a mom to come pick us up is where we had our first kiss. In sitting down in the waiting for a mom. So like, it was a real good date. And I guess, from that point on, it was like, we were together.
Yeah. And what's so funny, even to the day, I always pick at Roderick. Roderick, he misses cues when, like if somebody's attracted to him, he is oblivious to. He like, I don't see it. We went to was it Verizon? And it was this lady, she was doing something with our phone or something like that. And I said, Roger, that Verizon lady like you. He was like, no, she don't. I said, yes, she does, baby. He be oblivious.
No, I went by myself.
Oh, that's right. You told me about it. That's right. And I was like, I think she was trying to hit on you, baby. He was like, I was like, I think she was.
Yeah, it's happened before, like CVS and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like that's perfect for my life. I don't want to be the kind of person that notices, because honestly, dog, I don't want that in my life. It's just a distraction. So somebody like me, they got to be real. They got to ask me during basketball to go on a date with them, and then some other niggas got to be like, I think she like you, and I'm perfect with that. I feel like
I was the aggressor. I knew what I wanted.
Yeah, like I don't bother nobody. I don't really like talking to strangers. I treat everybody the same. So like, even if I think somebody look good, I don't treat them like, and I need to let you know that. I'll just be like, okay, it's all good. So, to me, as a married man that don't like drama, it's the perfect way to look at life.
Ain't it dope?
Word. Like I won't know you like me unless you like grabbing my dick or something. Then that's fine. That's perfect. Because ain't nobody gonna do that. So leave me alone.
Oh, that's funny. So Fayetteville State. Understand y'all both attended Fayetteville State. So Karen, if I'm not mistaken, you went there first, right?
I went first, then she came the year after. Yeah.
Okay. So what was it that attracted you to Fayetteville State?
Honestly, I could have went to a lot of colleges because I had a really good GPA. I had that weighted thing too, where like I was in all them AP, AG classes, so there was adding. Like my GPA was above 4.0 because of all that bullshit.
Yeah.
And then black, and I killed the SAT. I never actually took it twice. I took it one time, and the time I took it was before they made it a little easier. And so when I took it that first time, I think I was a freshman in high school, they added 200 points because the next year they made it. They were like, so when you say your score, instead of it being like 1240, it's now 1440 or some shit, or maybe 1480, whatever it was, out of 1600. So basically I could, everywhere I wanted to go except that I wanted to go to a HBCU, but everywhere I wanted to go, if it was a PWI, I could definitely get in because it was like, we got minority scholarships, you definitely qualify. The HBCUs, I could get in on academic scholarships. And the only one that I went on a tour with this program that drove everybody to these colleges on a bus, and you get off, give them your credentials, they let you know what you can get. Every school was like, you can get a full ride except for fucking Howard.
Really?
Howard was like, we get smart niggas every day, bro. Like I hope you didn't think that little that 1480 was gonna do shit, because it ain't, That's the only one that didn't give me a full ride, but everywhere else was full ride. But then you got out of state tuition. But what I was thinking, honestly, when I picked Fayetteville State, it's a state school. So you get the same benefits that you get from going to like UNC Charlotte, or Chapel Hill, even like, or NC State. Like it's in that same system.
Okay.
And so you got the HBCU, but then you still got the like same transfer credit school stuff as like the state universities. Cost is much less than the state universities.
Yes, it is.
Which is already super low, because Duke also had their eye on me, but I'll be damned. You know what I'm saying? My dad wanted me to go to Duke so bad. I said, hell no, bro. I met one girl that was going to Duke, man, and I hate her guts to this day, bro. I was like, why would I do that? Like, anyway. So then we ended up, I went to Fayetteville State because they also had it where Karen, being that she was adopted, was awarded a state. And so she could go to any state school she wanted to, and they would pay the tuition.
Really?
So I was, So even though I was like 17, I was thinking like, well, if our relationship is gonna like have a chance, we should try to go to school together. So, and it was like the perfect amount of distance from home to where your parents can't just like pop up on you. Cause I didn't want to
3-hour drive.
Yeah. Like I could have went to UNC Charlotte or some shit, but like that's 30 minutes from my house. I want the experience of not being at home.
Right.
So that was really my thinking. And then Karen came the next year.
Nice. So Karen, what was your college experience like?
like being at Fayetteville State.
Right.
I loved going to Fayetteville State. I think that I wasn't in any AG classes like Roger. I was just like a regular ass nigga with hanging out with the niggas. So, so for me, I loved it because of the class sizes were small, because everybody's different. I didn't want to feel drowned, and I wasn't drowned, like watch when you walk in this auditorium, it's like thousands of people. Like, to me, I know that would have been too overwhelming. So I like the intimacy of it, like the smaller class sizes. I was RA for like 3 years. Okay. I was head RA my last year. So basically it was the dorm director, assistant dorm director, and me, as far as like people will be in charge. So if they were out of town, I would literally be in charge of a building of, I was over the freshman dormitory, New Res, which is freshman dormitory at that time. I don't know what it is now. And so I was like over a building with like a few hundred students and things like that. So I loved the experience. I loved the class. I loved, being there with Roger. It was just a beautiful and fun experience. I think I learned how to be independent in college. I think I learned myself in college. I understand, which is sad. College is so expensive now. You have a generation and generations after that will never experience being away from their parents. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense. Like you're grown, but you're not grown. You're grown as far as being able to make choices and make decisions, but you don't have to go to work every day and pay bills you don't have that type of thing, but it forces you to grow up. It forces you to understand what it's like to be around people other than your family. It forces you to make boundaries, because I was the only child. So it forces you to make boundaries and things like that. So it was a beautiful and wonderful experience for me personally. I absolutely loved it. And I know, shout out to Roderick's mom, because for me, when you are raised in a family whose goal is not you go to school, a lot of my family, they just worked. So a lot of them didn't have degrees and things like that. So they was like, oh, well, I guess you're going to work, type of thing. They didn't really push higher education. So I remember one time I don't even think I had took the SAT yet. I sat down with Roderick's mom, and she was like, Ken, what do you want to do? And she did hair. I was like, I don't know. I guess do hair like you. I was like, because I had no idea. Because you're asking a 17 and 18-year-old to make a decision about they have no idea. And so she sat me down, and she had like a real heart to heart. She was like, well, we'll do this. She say, take the SAT. She say, apply to school. And she said, and go to college. And she said, and if it don't work out, she said, I'll sit down with you and we'll make another plan. I say, okay. I said, bet, we'll do that. And that conversation changed the trajectory of my life. And sometimes people don't understand it's the simple things that kind of matter and kind of change things, particularly when you don't really have a guidance there, because a lot of the stuff I do on my own, like I had to do my own FAFSA. I had to do like a lot of that stuff on my own. Most of my time in college, I worked a night shift. I worked full-time night shift. So before I became an RA, I would go to class during the day and then work from like 6 p.m. to midnight, stay up to like midnight to like 3 or 4 in the morning. And then I would take my classes from 9 to whatever, come back. And I did that for because I went to school for 5 years. Okay. Because I refused to take more than 12 credit hours. 12 credit hours was enough, bitch. I'm not taking 18. I'm not taking 21. And no, I'm not coming my black ass here on summers. No, bitch. If it take me 5 years, it just take me 5 years. I feel that. Because I seen people who tried to do it in 4 and 3.5. And by the time they got to the end, they were mentally fried. I can't explain that. Like, they were mentally fried.
I took 5 years too. And the reason for me was I switched majors like my second year in. I was like, I don't want to do this computer science bullshit. Yeah. And so I had to basically throw them credits in the trash. but I still, but it was cool though, because I was on scholarship for I think like 3 or 4 of the 5 years. So, it was like I already know I got the scholarship money. So when that shit go out, hitting up them loans, and so it ended up being fine. And because school didn't cost that much at the time, and the school we went to, we ended up paying our loans off. It took us time to like 30 something, but we didn't get saddled with the impossible debt that certain people got hit with.
And we had to defer and all that stuff. And it's funny though, when you tell people, I'm like, I want everybody's college stuff to be wiped out. I do not know why y'all want these people to suffer. Y'all do know this impacts housing. This impacts the economy. Yeah, but why ain't nobody having kids? It's expensive as shit.
Yeah.
Why? I'm $30,000. I'm $120,000 in debt for a car I would never drive and a house I would never live in. And you got 100-something thousand. So together we got almost 400, 500-something $1,000 in debt. What we look like having kids? We can't get a house. We have to stay with our parents till we're 30. The people are making these choices based off of the debt. And a lot of people, they ain't never paying them loans back. So you might as well wipe them.
And there you go. What was y'all's favorite classes at Fayetteville State?
Man, this class was such bullshit, but I had a class where it was like called it was like African Americans in business. And it was an old tenured professor who was basically blind, who had an assistant.
What?
Yeah, he had an assistant that basically helped him get back and forth to class and stuff. And he would every class pull up a movie, show us a movie on the TV, and that was class. And like you watch the movie in hour intervals, and when you get to the end of the movie, you take a test or a quiz on like the thing. And it was all shit I'd seen. It was Bamboozled and shit. It was shit I knew already. And like I said, it was such bullshit because once I realized what the class was, I started going like once a week. Like I was like, shit, I'm not fitting to be up. I know this shit. Like it's just watching movies at this point. And I don't know how I timed it, but I just lucked out. And every time I happened to be in the class was the day we got the pop quizzes. And so I took all the pop quizzes. I passed them. There was only a couple I didn't like. I wasn't there for, and they throw out your lowest grade. So the ones I got 0 on got thrown out.
Okay.
And then I was there for the final test, and I ended up getting a fucking A in that class. And the reason I say it was bullshit is because there was a white lady who was a post-grad, like she was one of them non-traditional students. She's a grown-ass woman that got a job and does all her shit just to be a grown-up that comes to this class and studies and does the right things.
Right.
And I sat next to her, and at the final, when we got our grades, and I was like, whatever it was, B+, A- or whatever, she had got a lower grade than me, and she was mad as fuck. She was like, she said it so like, can I hate to say, can I see your grade? And I was like, yeah, sure, here you go. She's like, but I don't mean to be offensive, but you're never here. I was like, I know, right? It's crazy. And she was like, but I come here every day and I study and I know the movies and I take notes. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. What'd you get? I got a C. I'm like, oh shit. Well, I'm sorry. That's bad. Well, you think you can maybe go with me to this office at the class so we can talk to him? I was like, oh, nah, I'm busy. I got something to do at the school. But that was the first time I realized how racism really worked. And like, I felt a little different after that. I said, I see how regular white people, I see how they just go along with the privilege, dog. Cause I definitely know he gave me that grade cause I'm black. It's no fucking way that man thought I got an A in that class. Cause I didn't think I got an A in that class, dude. But he gave me an A for being a black dude. And what my trick in that class was, I knew he liked me. Because when I did show up, I always asked a real good question. Every time, I always raise my hand and ask a real good, memorable question. And because it was nothing but movies, the questions was easy as fuck. I'm like, oh, like I know the answer sometimes, but I'll be like, so what was the symbol? Do you think it was symbolism with Furious Style and the balls he was rotating in his hand? And he's like, oh, yeah, see, he liked them questions. And I'm like, yeah, he making a mental note that he fuck with me. So that's probably my favorite class. But like, once again, as you can tell, it's not for reasons of anything material, subject matter. It's just, he was racist and it was funny.
And I love how you found a way to game the system, so to speak.
Didn't even know I was gaming it till the end. I totally expected him to hand me that paper and be like a D and be like, yeah, that's what I earned. You know what I'm saying? It was like, hey. All right,
All
then.
right.
I'll take it.
And Karen, what was your favorite class at Fayetteville State?
One of my favorite classes, it was, it might sound wild, but it was like a statistics class. And I remember because for the first time, math made sense where you be putting in scenario, whatever, like you own this business, you have these employees, how many of this do they need to sell? How many of that need to do? And for some reason, it clicked in my brain. And it clicked in my brain so good that the teacher gave like a test. He had like a bonus question. I was the only person in like the 40, 50 people in there that got it right.
Wow.
And I was amazed and he was amazed. And like, not him, but I was just like, wow, I got it. Because for some reason, it just completely made sense. And that was one of the few classes that I loved that class because it brought the real world to me where it made sense. Like, oh, I could see why people do this for a living because you're actually applying these numbers and these equations and things to real life.
Man, I was so trash at statistics. I think I ended up taking statistics, probably about 3 times in college. It was, that one whooped my ass.
The one that killed me was fucking computer. I took like computer programming 101. And that was back when you needed to like type the whole program in DOS with no mistakes or else your shit wouldn't work. And I was in that computer lab. I was on end sometimes 2, 3 in the morning and shit. And one of my homies from back in Charlotte that went to school with me, John, he was in the same thing. And I'd be in that bitch like, this shit ain't working. And then he'd be like, all right, well, I'm done for the day. All right, bro, you be good. I'm like, what did you do different than me? I'm looking, our shit look the same. I'm going to the lab after going to the professor's office to get those after office thing. And the after office dude, like the professor didn't teach me shit. He just would look at my program, fix whatever the mistake was, and then just give it back to me. And I said, but I didn't learn nothing. Like, all you did, you fixed it, it worked, but I can turn it in. But like, if I had to do it again tomorrow, I can't tell you what the fuck I did wrong. And I realized then it wasn't for me because I need an actual teacher. And so I hated that damn class, man.
That inner bar came out, man, I ain't doing this shit here, y'all.
Yeah. It sucked too, because like it'll be like I put a semicolon instead of comma. Something like that, it can change the whole program, man. And it's like when you're staring at a screen of just of endless characters, like that'll drive you bananas. My dad was a computer programmer, he was till he retired. And that's why I wanted to do it, so I could kind of like be in his footsteps. And I was like, nah, this shit is for the birds. So I switched to business admin with concentration in banking and finance, and I never looked back.
Yeah, I switched my major too. I was a teacher until we got to the point where you actually went like on site to see what the teachers did. And I was like, oh no, y'all know this is a lot. All right, I guess I'll be changing my major to business administration. Fuck this. Y'all don't get paid. I don't get paid enough to be dealing with these kids.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
And hold on. And what they don't tell you for the test, for the state of North Carolina, well, I think this is just teaching. Like if you want to get a teaching degree, once you get so far, like your 300, 400 level classes, you have to take a test. If you fail this test, you literally can't go into some of the higher level courses, and you have to pay out of pocket for the test.
Oh, wow.
And so like if you fail it, you have to turn around sometimes and take it again, which means you have to pay. I was like, oh, I ain't got the fire to be paying for a test that I don't know if I'm a pass or not. I'm good, homie. And that's another reason that made me change. I was like, I have to deal with these kids and y'all making me pay out of pocket for a test that I don't even know if I'm gonna pass this bitch. I'm good.
Yeah, listen, you found out before, before things got bad that this ain't for me.
This ain't for me.
Which is great too, because like teaching is such a thankless ass profession, especially in North Carolina, where it's like
I make much more than they do now.
Them motherfuckers really be going through it just for the Republicans to be like, cut their budget again. It's crazy.
Right.
Man. So the Black Guy Who Tips podcast, how did that come to be?
I had a blog called the Black Guy Who Tips that I used to put my random thoughts on. It was a Tumblr blog. And I would just it started as like an email list to my homies, and I just put random shit, man, whatever I thought was funny at the time. I remember one time I remixed the 10 crack commandments to the 10 weed commandments and sent that shit to everybody and stuff. And I didn't even smoke. It was just things I thought was funny, or like, here's my 10 random thoughts for the day and shit. And so I used to send that to all my college homies and shit. The little stuff I come up with working in the cubicle or whatever. And I used to listen to podcasts, specifically like Keith and the Girl. That was one of the first ones I ever listened to. And so I was listening to an episode of theirs, and a jerk wrote in to say, like, what y'all do isn't real work. Anybody can do it. All y'all do is just talk for an hour a day. It's not special. Y'all shouldn't even be complaining about anything, blah, blah. And so they said, if you think it's so easy, why don't you do it? And obviously they meant it, derisively, like, obviously what we do is work hard. But I really did go, yeah, it just made it click. Like, you don't need a gatekeeper. Like, there's nobody I need to impress. There's no studio. There's
were regular people too.
Yeah, there's no radio person. They were just two people in their house talking about stuff. And I said, yo, we should start a podcast. And I said, I don't want to do it alone. I want to do it with Karen, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I didn't like the ones with solo people on them normally at the time, especially at the beginning of podcasting, because people had way less shit than they got now. So like, them was typically like the rantings of a madman. Like,
yes,
you listen to a motherfucker sit up there by themselves, they was either crazy or like boring. You know what I mean? I think at the time, maybe Dan Harlan's Hardcore History was the only one I listened to with nobody else on it. And so I in my mind, I said, boom, do this show with me and Karen. And I didn't have a name for it. I was just like, we should do it. And Karen said no, because she was just nervous and scared of, like, what did this mean? This before the internet. The internet was so scary back then.
Right.
We didn't even say our real names when we started our show. It was like Rodimus Prime and Say That Again. And this is back when, like, people thought it was weird to even date online. You know what I'm saying? And that's before apps. This, like, if you made a whole profile on Christian Mingle or some shit, people was like, you fucking weirdo.
Right.
What?
It's wrong with you. They're strangers. Right. You're going to go out and date and die.
So we're going to tell our stories and give our voice to the internet, to a bunch of strangers. That was my idea. So Karen obviously very reasonably was like, no. And then I was like, well, I don't want to do it by myself. And she said, well, I'll do it with you, but I probably won't be good at it. And you can replace me with another host if I'm not good. If you get tired or you don't want to do it with me. And I'm thinking to myself the whole time, like, obviously we're either going to do it together. It's not going to get done. And at no point has there ever been a consideration of Karen not being on the show. Mm-hmm. So I named it the Black Guy Who Tips only because it was something that would make her feel like, oh, it's his thing and I'm just kind of on it. And if I want to leave, I could just leave. But in my mind, I was like, nah, this is us. And it's probably for the best, because I would have probably ended up naming it something like Rod and Karen Show, and it wouldn't have took off, because a lot of people found our show by searching Black on iTunes at the time. Mm-hmm. And our podcast would come up as one of the only Black podcasts in the fucking world at the time. So lucky for me, she said all that shit and I named it the Black Guy Who Tips. And that was basically the inception of the concept. And I mean, I'm uploading episode 2,900 right now. She's been on every last one of them. So I mean, I figure it worked out.
That was a good trick.
Yeah. It worked out. Y'all, while we talking, y'all made me go to my Yahoo and look up my old emails for random thoughts to see, like, because I'm like, do I even have those? And I have one from 2002. That's how long ago I was doing that shit with the random thoughts in the emails. Crazy.
Years ago.
Man. So you care to share any of them random thoughts?
I give you, let me see what this one is. For the record, I have not, this could be horribly offensive. I have no fucking idea.
Right.
I'm trusting myself and trusting y'all to not judge 2012 ride or 2002 ride. Let's see. I recently found myself the recipient of a degrading male bashing email. It was about 11 different kinds of men, and none of the men were good. This is just the latest assault on the male character. Well, I'm here to set things right with 11 types of women. And the whole positives. Number one. So, okay. So I guess the types of women are, one of them is the hoe. The positives will have sex with you without too much emotional attachment. 2, doesn't want your money or possessions. 3, will have sex with you even when you only call her once a year. Negative. She's having sex with some nigga that just got out of prison. 2, she may have all kinds of diseases. 3, her family thinks you're the reason she a hoe. The working one. Oh, okay. So like someone must have sent me the 11 men, and it must have been like jokes on different kinds of men. I sent the working woman positives. 1, has her own money to provide for herself. 2, normally smart and highly motivated. 3, can handle bills and has good credit. Negatives, wants you to pay her bills. 2, can't cook or clean. 3, wants you to pay for all her dates, hotels, trips, and shopping trips, but claims she independent. 4, has probably been a hoe at one point in time. See above. College girl positives, is always available to hang out, appreciate the small things in life, will have sex with you for the fun and experience. Negatives, thinks every conversation should be a philosophical debate. 2, can't understand why you have to work all the time. 3, will probably get pregnant and drop out and try to stay with you. Yeah, these are terrible, but
I'm about to say, man, 2002.
This is what I thought was funny in 2002.
Yeah, yeah. A lot has changed since then.
02 ride with an 8 in 2024.
Oh, bruh. Like, if I was on this
manosphere,
I do remember this period of time in my life, and obviously I was joking, but nigga, I could have been Kevin Samuels if I would have just kept a straight face and said this for real to the homies or whatever. Like, nah, man, these women's, they be out here. Like, I could be rich, but I guess 2002 ride was not to be famous.
So what were some of your favorite episodes that you remember?
One of my personal favorites is Simpin' Saturday. That's one of my because we did it on a whim and we had so much fun doing that episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of mine too. Anytime we kind of can get a music thing involved, a lot of times it could be real fun.
Mm-hmm.
When we had Firestarter on, the first time I think they ever came on, and we talked about I think the title of the episode was like the Louisiana Compromise.
Yep.
Yeah. And I told them about that epic ass tank, and then we also had a segment to this day, like real tears out of my eyes, when we talked about Byron Long getting his dick sucked by I think he called him a small, young
Latin
Spanish
boy,
young Latin boy.
Yes.
and I ain't had no problem with him. Like, if you get your dick, if that's what you into, that's what you into.
Right.
The problem was his insistence on like there's nothing gay about that. And that is too much for my brain to handle, bro. I'm like that. Even in 2024, I would be like, bro, nah, man, you can't. Like, you can have one or the other. You can either have him suck your dick and be like, yeah, I did a gay sex act at least once, or you can say I did a gay sex act. You can't have both. With he said the video like we was tripping, like, and niggas think that's gay. I'm like, it's gay, bro. Just anyway, but that was a fun one for me.
Hold on, just to piggyback on that clip, I remember he was so indignant about it too. He was like, I'll never forget. He said, when you played the clip, he goes, so if that makes me any less of a man because I have my dick sucked by another man, I'm like, man, you
right.
You trying too hard, bro.
Why you turning this into like a diatribe on me? I don't have a problem. You like came in with an attitude, and now you acting like it's crazy that people think this is funny. So yeah, that was definitely one, man. There's a lot of memorable ones, but I love that. I love when we've had like big guests sometimes. Like Kev on stage was a big one for us, where it's just like, this is dope. We had an episode where Bomani came to literally pulled up to the crib.
House. Yeah, this is
hopped on with us just back when we had the one mic for everybody. My cousin Anthony Morrow, NBA player, We had an
your
episode where he
cousin?
came on. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Wow.
We had an episode where he came on, and it was funny because I was like, man, thank God I had the foresight. This is why you need real niggas in your life that you really care about you. Because my foresight was like, hey, don't say nothing crazy though.
Yes, even then.
I don't want nothing going viral off of like you said some crazy shit. Now another podcaster would have been like, say some crazy shit, man. I need this motherfucking viral clip. But I'm like, it's my little cousin, man. So like he was laughing and cutting up with us, but just I made sure that it was nothing in there where he was like gonna put himself like niggas find the clip 6 years from now and be like, one time he said blank. So
wasn't that one of the first times with a bullet ball?
Maybe I don't know. I feel like it was. And of course, the first time we did bullet ball.
Oh man,
especially when we had Justin and Will on the show. That shit basically, that's probably one of my favorite episodes of all time because I still remember the tears in my eyes. And then the last one I'll say, because we have so many episodes, y'all, and I enjoyed so many, but the last one I'll say is when we did a crossover with Where's My 40 Acres and Insanity Check, and we all drank Four Loko live on the air.
Yes, we did.
And
and we did the original one. Like we
did the Four Loko with the like cocaine in it.
Yes,
before they switched the formula to normal, like
we did pure cuts.
Yeah, and like that experiment was crazy because like we went first because I said, let me do our shit before the shit kick in.
Yes.
And like right as we ended our show and it was a marathon where then we switch over to the next person's show. That was right as I was starting to be like, oh no, this is a mistake. This shit is not like, this ain't like drinking a beer. It ain't even like drinking Mad Dog.
Yeah, everything was spinning. No,
it was something crazy. Like you feel sick, but good at the same time.
Yeah, because it's an upper and a downer.
My face was itching and burning and hot, but then when I went to lay down after we finished, I couldn't sleep. It was crazy.
Yes, it was hard.
But
it was hard to turn yourself off. Yes,
but man, that I think Insanity Check and Where's My 40 Acres deleted
they took
their episodes because when I tell you them episodes was regulars,
woo, we were all over
like
the place.
and like I'm a genuinely good guy because this was not they were kind of peer pressure of bullying me into this opinion, and I fought these niggas on the air for a good 30 minutes to an hour, and I don't blame them for deleting it because they was looking bad, but it was they was trying to tell me Serena Williams wasn't fine. And I spent like an hour being like, no, but I was drunk. So like, it wasn't necessarily making the best sense, but in my heart, I just wasn't going to let them end it. And they didn't want to back down because they was drunk. So we had to agree to disagree, but I'm still proud of Drunk Rod for like not, for not just giving, because I wouldn't give up. I was like we could have kept moving on to the next thing, but I just kept coming back like, but no, we not in the castle. We lost. Like I was tripping, but man, that held up good because I seen what happened to like I think it was Van Newkirk or some shit. They found some old tweets. So this nigga was hating on Serena and he about lost a good job over that shit. I'm like, woo, your boy is in the I get why they took that one down because I don't need my homies having some old clip service. I hate to get them canceled, but yeah, that was one of my favorites too.
Yeah, though I enjoyed those. I think one of my personal favorites was one time we did a show and I ended up I don't remember the name of the show, but I ended up taking over the show because I was so mad about porn. I had like a list of things that I disliked about porn, and I went down, I think it was like 15 or 20 different things that I talked about that just made me upset when I watched porn. And I was angry and I was letting people know this is some bullshit.
Was Wesley Pipes on the list by chance?
Of course he was.
Make it nasty.
The GOAT.
The GOAT.
I might have to get one. There's a dude that sells his art something.
Yeah, Art Simpson.
Yo, I be trying so hard not to hit that buy button on them shirts because I'll be like, I want to get it, but then I can only wear it like on the podcast or something because I can't picture me wearing Wesley out in public. It's too much. but I might get one just for the pod or something, because that's my man. Even though I do hate his guts, but that's my dude.
Bro, why you bullshitting? I literally had that shirt in the cart about to press in, and I was like, "Ooh, you know what? Let me put this car in park."
Let me back out of this one.
It's such a good shirt. And then like I did get the one that's, I think he has a shirt called "If You Know, You Know."
Yes.
Which is just the faces of all the black porn stars at the time of like somewhere around like 2000s or so. And that's one of them shirts I wear. But if you got a problem with it, I'm like, how you know?
Right.
What's on my shirt? Like, it's just the faces too, so it's nothing pervy about it. So if you a nigga that can look and be like, that's Pinky by looking at her face, welcome to the club, brother. Don't try to act like don't judge me.
Yeah, shake my hand.
Yeah, exactly. Dap up my elbow. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where your hand been, but you know what I
Good
mean.
point. Yeah, that's a real good point. Speaking of which, how did y'all land Sarah J as a guest?
Oh man, I just made jokes one day on Twitter while I was on my break from work. And this is an early Twitter, like 2010, 2011. And you could just tag people and shit. It was a lot looser time.
Yeah, and people would, it's different now.
I was following her, and I think, I don't know if she was following me back or not, but I know I was following her. And so I added her in a series of jokes. And it was like, you know, Sarah J has got more black men to the promised land than Martin Luther King.
Oh my God.
You know, like shit like that. And the, you know, back then, before, you know, everybody got so uptight, it was like everybody was just retweeting and making their own like Sarah J jokes.
Right.
And she followed me back. And then, you know, I saw her tweeting and stuff all the time. And she's just tweeting like a normal fucking regular person about shit. And, you know, and then every once in a while she posts like a picture of like promoting something. And then I was just like, hey, would you like to come on our show? Cause she thought it was so funny, those jokes. And I said, she said, yeah. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. So I like emailed her, and she came on. I think she did the show like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, really?
Too. Yeah. She came on quite a few times, man. And she's one of the realest people. The only reason I ever stopped really inviting her on is because for a while she fell off of social media because it was a lot of toxicity and motherfuckers was talking crazy to her. You know,
they were.
What as social media got more toxic, people got more toxic, and she's kind of like a righteous person when it comes to like race and politics and shit.
Right.
And so I remember one time just Black Twitter went in on her for like no reason, and I just was like, but she's not even like a bad person. Y'all just doing this to be mean. And I think that was like the last time I really seen her interacting with people on Twitter. So that's the only reason I didn't ask her back. But she might, I might ask her to see if she'll come back now, because she's always a great guest.
Yeah. Man, I remember one of my favorite episodes was y'all had Justin on. Y'all was playing that Busy Bone interview.
Nigga. Busy Bone. I forgot Busy Bone and Ray J.
Yeah.
Busy Bone and Ray J. Those were some of my favorite episodes too. Cause like just playing that shit and then making fun of it and play a clip again. And Justin's one of the favorite homies to have as a guest, and because he cuts up the way we cut up. And you're right. That's one of the all-timers too, man. Damn, that was fun.
Praise God.
Praise God.
Touch that heart. Touch that mind. Touch that soul.
Touch that soul. Yeah, he was on some other shit, dog.
Oh man, that's putting it mildly.
Yeah, bro. Like, yeah, that was like a funny ass episode, man.
So, in the midst of doing your podcast, Rod, I remember the episode when you talked about getting laid off, and you know there was this cloud of uncertainty, and Karen just put the battery in your back, and she was like, nigga, let's go. Here's the time let's make this thing happen. And it happened. And you made it your full-time job. So
both times he got laid off was at around my birthday, and one of them was actually on my birthday. And I think the first time he got laid off was when we pushed it up to like 3 days a week. because we was once a week.
Yeah.
The first time we pushed it up to 3 days a week. And then the second time we pushed it up to 5 days a week, and we started doing premium.
Mm-hmm.
Smart move. And so you got Balls Deep Sports, you got Lip Smacking Good, you got Nerd Off, all kinds of shows.
And what's so funny about it, our premium shows have more shows than some people regular shows that they put out for free.
Yeah.
You know, we have thousands of shows behind our paywall. So, you know, for a lot of people, it's actually, when people get our premium, they were like, God damn. I was like, yeah, we've been doing this for a very long time. And there's a lot of shows and a lot of episodes out there, because I think, and we've slowed down, you know, we slowed down a lot. But I think when we first started, we was like, oh, if people paying their customers, a lot of people don't understand the difference between a customer and a non-customer. Customers like, I'm paying for something, I want my money's worth. Yeah. I'd rather you hit it and be like, God damn, it's too much shit than want my shit at.
Yeah.
So even before we went premium, we packed up like a bunch of shows, like 20 or 30 shows we had already kind of stacked up and almost like pre-recorded and put them together prior to even opening up the pay before we even charged. And, you know, the thing about it was, have been something me and Roger had been talking about anyway, was like doing it for a living. And, you know, when you're working 40 hours a week, you don't have the time to dedicate to it. And I do understand Roger's mentality about, you know, I lost my job, I lost my income. But I'm like, now you have the time, and this is something that we have been talking about. You actually have the free time to do it. So it was one of them things like, and it's not to be mean or cruel, but like, I don't got no time for no tears. I don't know how to do it, nigga. You figure it out.
Man, and y'all really just y'all are stamped in the podcast world, and y'all really made a name for yourselves, man. And personally, I gotta say, I'm extremely proud of the two of y'all, because y'all,
thank you, man.
Because y'all really made shit shake. And bro, speaking of which, going from that to the TBGWT live show. So how did y'all come about doing the live show?
Well, once again, Karen's the dreamer. Karen's the one that's always pressing us to do bigger and bolder
things. I have been talking about that for years.
And she had been talking about it for years. And I just was like, oh, you know, I'm the one that's like, okay, logistically, we need to get to a place where we can make it happen. Cause I think, you know, like if Karen was in charge of the logistics, cause she's very much like, I don't know how, but we can do it. And I'm very much like, we don't know how to do it. We should know how, and then we should do it. Like I didn't want to do something like, you know, take out a loan or some shit. Right. And then you end up overextended and, you know, like looking like Universal Fan Con or some shit where you like, but we got 10,000 Twitter followers, so we rented out a Coliseum. It's like, well, that's not how any of that shit works. Now y'all broke. So I would be the one to do it, figure out the logistics. And so the first thing I did was hire an event planner because we had never done it before. And she was the one that had like all these ideas, these venues we could visit. She was in Atlanta, but she set up all this stuff through the phone.
And she thought outside of the box.
Wow.
And she was the one who came up with the idea after we visited a few venues that were very expensive places to rent out.
Yes.
Well, she was like, you know, one possibility could be you work with like a public institution such as the theater downtown. And so we went to visit the Knights Theater, which is where not Knights Theater, the Lincoln Theater or something.
Blumenthal.
We went to Blumenthal Center for Performing Arts.
What was it?
Booth, the Booth Theater,
yeah,
which is a very small theater for that company. Like they have 1,000 seats things. Yeah. This shit had like 200, 300
we got
seats.
Much smaller. And when we walked across that stage, me and Roger looked at each other like, yeah.
Yeah, and like they had because we could have done like a comedy club, but we would have had to do like an off night because you know comedy clubs Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they big days.
Right.
So at any rate, we hooked up with the venue. We got, you know, the step and repeat. We got all this stuff because the event planner knew we needed a photographer, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, it was a milestone for us partially because we're not in this like podcast system. We're independent.
Right.
So and we're not entertainers and performers by trade, where like, you know, like a comedian putting on a live podcast to me seems so easy, because like you do stand up, you know some people, you know some venues,
right? You know connections.
To them, we two people that may or may not be on the up and up that say we want to do this thing, and they shout out to my man Joe Hunsucker, who's a great guy who worked with us. But like, I know when we paid for the venue and everything, I forget, it was like $3,000 or $4,000 or something. I know they was thinking like, who do these people think they are? What do they really do?
Yeah, like,
and
what's
when
happening?
I tell you, bro, we sold that motherfucker out, and we made like all our money back and then some. And that's counting the event planner, that's counting the step and repeat, that's counting renting out the venue, all that shit. And I ain't gonna lie, it's like running a marathon. I was so relieved when that check came in and it was bigger than the motherfucking amount we spent, because I was scared that we, you know, like, you know, we see people all the time leap out and then like they actually don't have people that fuck with them. They just thought they did. You know what I'm saying?
They really don't. And it was an experience, because even with us, we actually care about our audience. So the event planner was like, y'all know y'all can charge more. We was like, no.
Yeah, that was the thing.
We wanted to keep everything reasonable. And we had it where you had the general tickets and then we had the meet and greet. So we charged more.
Which people do all the time now.
Right.
Yeah, but we, you know, but anyway, it was fun. We had a good time. And then after that, the venue was like, if y'all want to do another one, you don't have to rent anything. You just tell us a day and we'll figure out like what the schedule. We'll get production people in here. We'll get all that and we'll just split the door. Which is fine for me, because now it's like, if nobody shows up, at least there's no way we could walk away losing money anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Because we will always make money because we got a dope, loyal fan base. But you know, stuff like the pandemic, it's a question mark. Are people gonna come out during the pandemic? They gonna wear their mask, they gonna be scared, you know, that kind of thing. And we were the people that pushed them to have a virtual option.
We were the first time they did the virtual.
They had never done these shows where you could broadcast through the internet before. So we were the ones that were like, y'all need to get us I said, if y'all really want to make some money, let us sell some virtual tickets. And I think they were, because it's such a physical business, they were worried it was going to be like, well, if someone can buy like a $20 virtual ticket, why would they buy like a $20 real life ticket? I was like, don't worry about that part. We gonna have motherfuckers from all over the globe want to see this.
Yeah.
And so if they can't buy a ticket to get here, they need to have an option. Would you rather make zero money from that person or $20 or whatever? And so we got them to do that. And I think we had cachet with them because it blew their mind when we did our first live show, which people had literally been waiting years for us to figure that out. Motherfuckers came from Australia,
all over the world, France,
Canada.
They was traveling from everywhere.
This theater, which is a theater that has like
the Lion King,
right? Like this is not a shabby theater.
They been having top notch shit.
But in addition to like the staff sitting there watching us do the show and enjoying it, after the show they were like, you know, we talked to some of y'all fans and the places they came from. We've never had anyone come from further than like Columbia, South Carolina,
right,
to see a show. And y'all had like people coming from like Raleigh. Y'all had, you know, like y'all had people coming from Ohio. Y'all had people like one dude. And then the other thing we did, which it was a little stressful, but honestly, I do it every show now.
It was perfect.
We have fans who can't make it, but they want to support by buying the tickets. And so they would buy tickets. And I said, if you send it to me, I'll give the ticket away, which obviously on a couple levels is kind of ridiculous because, you know, number one, if you buy a ticket for whoever show, obviously the artist isn't helping you share the tickets like that. They're like, nigga, I got to do a show, right? Yeah. But I was like, with our fans, it's a special relationship. So if you send it, I'll make sure if anybody wants a ticket, they can get it.
Yeah, if they don't have the 5.
And so people bought tickets that couldn't make it, and we gave those tickets away through email. And there were people that showed up who were like, I was one of the people that got that ticket. I just got off of work in Gastonia and drove here. Appreciate you, brother, and whatever. And like, that's the testament to our community we built.
Yes.
And why, to me, it feels so special. And I love doing the live shows because of that.
Yeah, it's very different and unique. And what happened, there was two people that were close to each other, and one person was the person that bought the ticket, and the other person was the person that gave the ticket to, and they didn't even realize that they was in line because they paid for the upcharge for the meet and greet. So the person ended up getting a meet and greet ticket.
Wow.
Because of that. And they was like, you bought the ticket. And so it was just like this. And we have a lot of people that actually talk and communicate online in the chat room. So a lot of people were seeing each other that they had been chit-chatting and talking to for the first time. And so it was very wonderful. And a lot of times people like give you their names. You'd be like, oh, I know who you are. You started putting faces and things together. Like, it was just a beautiful experience.
Man, you're not lying about that. I got to attend my first Black Guy Who Tips live show back in September. And like you were saying, Karen, getting to meet these people in real life was such a treat. Like, I remember, I think it was like 2 days leading up to it. It was on a Saturday. Dro hit me up on Thursday. He's like, man, you going to the show? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'll be in there too. So coming to find out, he's flying in from Dallas. Like, he's in and out that day. But we met up, we got to meet him for the first time. We met up and had dinner had lunch at Tupelo Honey before we went to the show. And then like got to hang out with him. Then we get to the theater and I meet Leonard Brothers in real life. I was like, oh my God, like what is happening? And it's like it's like the three of us are just talking about our favorite TBGWT moments. And then during the show, y'all play the bullet ball clip, and man, listen, you could not wipe the smile off my face because when they asked the dude, so if this doesn't happen, like if all of this fails, what do you have? And he's like, I have bullet ball. I was like,
bullet ball.
So good. And then after the show was over and I'm getting out of my seat and I feel somebody tap me on my shoulder and I turn and this damn Jack Eclectic, I was like,
yeah,
bro, this is exactly where I needed to be because I had no clue he was going to be there too.
Yeah, man, honest to God, man, if anything, I swear, and I'll fight on this. We got the best fan base, like
we
period
do in the world.
100%.
Like you ain't never got to worry about no bullshit popping off. They take care of each other. When it was the pandemic, they did the social distancing. They wore masks.
Yeah,
we didn't have to get on nobody, and that was peak. Like some motherfuckers acting crazy time too. I remember the venue being like, oh, so we gonna need like people. And I said, no, you won't need that with our folk. And they said, well, what about the seating and stuff? I said, they're gonna spread out. They're gonna like
space out.
Nobody's gonna do no bullshit just because that's our folk. And they've always been like that, man. And I know I always say people's fans are a reflection of them. So it's definitely it makes me feel honored and like I'm doing the right shit when I see that. And like, you're right, when you see those people in real life that are like staples and fixtures of the show and the listener fan base and interacting with each other and stuff, it just make you feel good because it's like, man, we brought this together and it's a good feeling and a good vibe, and it feels more like a family environment than like a professional, like I'm an entertainer. It's like, you know, we've had times we've like gone out to eat with fans of the show and stuff in a way that a different type of show, I feel like you can't even feel comfortable doing that because you don't know this motherfucker. But some of these people you really get to know well. And I'm very proud of that.
Me too.
Man, and then when I finally got to meet the two of y'all at the meet and greet in real life, and I'm like, on the inside, I'm like, oh shit, it's Rod and Karen. And I walk up and like I'm like towards the back of the line. And I walk up and then the first thing you say is, come on, Danny, I need that bar impression. I'm like,
yeah, dog. I still remember the first time you did it in that car, man, on social media. I probably watched that video 50 times, bro. I was like, this shit is too good. I was like, I got to get that right. If I see Danny, I said, I said it in my head before I even seen you. I said, well, I see Danny, I need that bar. Like we after that, we chop it up, we say whatever we want, but
Yeah.
I need that in my life, man. That shit is so funny, bro.
Appreciate it, man. That was such an awesome experience. Next time they do a live show, y'all don't cheat yourself, treat yourself. Pull up. It's a damn good time, man.
Even if this your first time hearing our voices and you don't really know what we do or whatever, come to the live show, man. It'll be fun. We always, and like, we haven't even, because of the pandemic and stuff, we haven't even done it as big since, but you know, like for our first live shows, we had like opening comedians and stuff.
Yes.
We always give away prizes for our games and stuff. That's always fun. It's interacting with the audience, singing songs and all that stuff. So like, we give a fuck. So definitely come out and I guarantee you'll have a good time or your money back.
Man, I could not vouch for this couple. Words don't do it justice. You have to experience it for yourself. So, Game Theory, HBO. Rod, you are a writer for Game Theory. So how did you land that gig?
Bomani called me and said, so I've known Bomani Jones for a long period of time, back when he was like writing for I think it was I forget the name of the ESPN page. It was Page Two. He was writing for them. He had a radio show, and I just, like heard about the radio show through some homies. And
it was in Raleigh, wasn't it?
Yeah. And he ended up he was on SOHH. I made a joke about the Golden State Warriors that had Steven Jackson and Baron Davis in them on it, and Monte Ellis. And I said, yo, they play ball like some niggas that came to the gym late and stole the Knicks and then just ran the court all day. And when you asked, could you run with them? They said, nah, we got our 5. And he thought that was so funny that he actually like kind of put it in his Page 2 article, but he credited me, which people
back in the day was a rarity.
Yeah, people for years thought ESPN and all these people were taking like quotes and jokes and stuff from our before social media, from message boards. But what made him cool was he actually credited me with that line, and I'm nobody, right? Like telling somebody Roderick's Prime from SOHH seems like to some ESPN editor, they're like, the fuck? That's not a person, just, but it let me know he had some integrity because he didn't have to he didn't steal that. And then so then I started listening to the show and all this stuff, and
the Score.
Yeah, but that's not the part. But we talked on the phone and stuff, became friends, and I followed him throughout his career. And there was a time where he lost his job, and I was talking to him on the phone, and I said, "Bro, I'm like, this is not me gassing you up on some like trying to tell somebody that's in a down place some shit they want to hear." I said, the best thing that ever happened to you was losing this radio job. I was like, you're a star. You're going to be a star in this sports shit. Nobody else is doing this shit like you. And your shit's going to take off, bro. And it was, I think that was when he was going to the mall and going to the massage chairs in the, you know what I'm saying? It was like nothing to do, you know what I'm saying? No job, no prospects or whatever. And he ended up eventually getting on Around the Horn, and then just took off on TV from there because he's just a dynamic personality.
Right.
And so I remember him telling me during that around that time as things started taking off for him, he was like, one of these days I'm gonna have a TV show, man, or something. And I'd love for you to write for me. And the reason he said that was because he was doing a show on the Score, Sirius satellite in like Canada or some shit. And it was 3 hours every episode around the 2.5 hour mark. He would be like, all right, I'm running out of shit to talk about. We talked about everything. I do this 5 days a week. There ain't much else to bring up. I don't know how we getting through this last 30 minutes. Like, we taking calls, we trying da. And so after he did, I heard that a couple of times, and I just took it upon myself because, once again, I believe in this nigga. And I'm like, I'm not going to let the shit fail. So my break is right at the time that 30-minute hit. I call every time, and I would try to re-energize the show by revisiting the topics. And I would do that by writing down what he had been talking about and writing my own takes to like complement his takes or even to enhance his takes. Like sometimes like he say this and I'm like, boom, but how you thought about it like that? And then like, boom, there you go. Another jag that keeps you going for 5 minutes of comedy. Now you got a new caller that's going to call in off the jag to be like, yo, what about this? And so he loved it. One, made his job easier. Two, it was fun. It was funny. But essentially, I'm talking to this dude live on the radio 5 days a week now for about 10, 15 minutes before I go back to work.
Known as Rod in Charlotte.
Yeah, and everybody would, you know, and it was because it was so tight-knit and the family atmosphere and Twitter and stuff was just taking off. People started following me on Twitter because of that. They would be like, you know, Rod in Charlotte, and he would, you know, to me, it's just how I answer the phone, but everybody would start repeating, like I had a catchphrase where it was like, what's up, man? How you doing? I'll be like, chilling. All right, da-da-da-da. And then people would be like, oh, that's you, chilling, and all this shit. So he told me about this time, like, if I ever get a TV show, I like you right for it. I said, all right, cool, but I want you to understand, I'm not your friend because I'm trying to get some shit out of it.
Right.
So I never thought about the shit again. Like it, like he said it. I noted that he said it like, oh, he a good dude. That's nice of him. But I work in a fucking cubicle doing logistics for a travel company, for a shipping company. Writing a TV show is not some shit niggas like that get to do, and that's cool. So come, you know, fast forward all these years on TV. He does like High Noon, which is finally his like vehicle for himself and Pablo. And then it turns out he gets this opportunity to do an HBO sports show, and it's gonna be a small writer's room, small budget, 8 episodes, I think, or something like that. They filmed a pilot for it, but it needed something or whatever. And now it's time to like get the writer's room together and shit. And so he called me and was like, hey man, would you like to submit for a writer's room? And I'm like, I mean, yes, I guess, you know what I mean? Like you don't want to hire a writer to do this. You want to hire a nigga that you just cool with. I'll do it, you know? And like, I hate to sound arrogant because it's not an arrogant thing, but I've always been really good at that kind of stuff in my life. Being funny, entertaining, creative writing. Like I told you, I was doing Random Thoughts since I was like 2002 or whatever, just trying to make people laugh. And so he didn't know I was that good at writing. Obviously, a lot of people didn't know that. And it's something that I knew that if I pursued, I could be good at it, but it just wasn't something I felt like pursuing.
And what was even funnier, Bo said that somebody was like searching and they was like,
well, so the thing is, it's a blind submission. So that means my name's not on it. So he can't just be like, that's the homie pass.
Right.
So they just gonna get the sheet of the jokes or whatever you wrote, the monologue and shit, and then they decide from there. Okay. And this is a thing where they're gonna have hundreds of people, possibly at least dozens of people, because certain people have been waiting their whole life for this opportunity. Black comedians that love sports, blah, blah, blah. It's a black show, one of the only black sports shows led by a black person ever and shit. So it's a coveted fucking opportunity. I submit. I think what I wrote was funny. They wanted me to submit like 3 recurring segments and a monologue about like in certain topics you could pick, like MLB this, Kyrie Irving and the COVID shit or whatever. I chose Kyrie and I wrote my thing. I think the ultimate punchline was something to the effect of like, getting the COVID vaccine is not you can't, like, Kyrie's trying to be smart by being the one nigga that don't do what everybody else is doing, because we act like smartness is a scarcity thing, right? Like only one person could be valedictorian, so all of a sudden people start associating being the outlier with being smart, right? So, but I said it's not necessarily about being smart. Is some shit is pass or fail, like looking both ways when you cross the street.
Yeah,
everybody looks both ways when you cross the street, and it's smart, and everybody's smart in that way. But if you're the one nigga who refuses to look both ways while crossing the street, you don't get to be smarter than nobody else. You just, you're dumber thinking you're smart, right? And so I submitted that shit, and it was the only one that got perfect scores.
Wow.
And so Bo calls me back. He's like excited. He's like, bruh, I got some good news for you, man. You got perfect scores. You the only one that passed the first round with da da da, bro. We had some beasts that was submitting da da da. And the whole time, because of just my own mentality and my anxieties and shit, I'm thinking, oh fuck, it's working exactly like I thought. I'm gonna get this shit. And I'm gonna have to fucking go to fucking New York and do this shit. Change my life. I love my life. I love podcasting with my wife,
going to the Hornets game
and doing shit here in Charlotte. I love I love it, but also I love Bo. And I felt like if I was the secret ingredient in making that show better and giving a fuck, and I stayed my ass in Charlotte knowing that he needed, and somehow the show wasn't good or it failed or it wasn't as funny as it could be, I would have forever felt bad about saying no to this shit. Like, well, maybe I could have been the nigga that said the joke that made the show be good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do the second round, similar results. Like I think this time I had one that like, I think this one was like real. It was like real cutthroat. It was like, I think they give you like 1, 2, 3. It's like 1 fail, 2 mid, 3 great. And so this time I think I got like 3 3s and 1 2 or something from like, the people that make the decision. So like still did great. Not perfect this time though. And that time I had to write a monologue, which I had never done before. I had to fucking email the showrunner to be like, how the fuck do I do the like this line here and cut to this and put in this video clip? And I had to go find all that shit. I had to go find the news clips. I had to get the words from the clips right, so that, like you were putting together a Daily Show up top monologue. I did that shit, submitted it. And oh, that's the other thing. My first round, I wrote that shit in like 2 hours in a night or something and just sent it. And it was like, I had a week to work on it. I just sent it the first night because I said, in my mind, I thought, if I can't write something in a couple of hours that's TV ready, I shouldn't even get asked to do this job, because once I'm working the job, they not going to give me weeks and weeks to work on shit. They going to, like, some of this shit is going to be like, bro, we got 5 minutes till air. Like, what can you do? And Nick, yeah. I'm so fucking glad I had that mentality, because a lot of the TV shit turned out to be like that. For good or bad, it just happened to work out like that, especially our first season. It was a lot of like, nigga, we spinning ideas, and it's like, we taping in 5 minutes. We got to run across the street and get this shit to Bomani so he could get on TV. So that was the first time I submitted. Second time I submitted, he said, just not take your time with it. You don't gotta like rush through it or whatever. And I told him why I did that, but he was like, whatever, it's cool. Just take your time. And so this one, I thought about it for like 3 or 4 days and still wrote it in like 2 hours. Like, I was just like, once I sit down to write, I'm writing it. And then I just didn't send it to them until like the day of, just so that they wouldn't feel like I was tripping by being like, fuck that shit, I'm sending it in on the day I wrote it. So that time I just did it for them, really. But I could have wrote the shit in 2 hours anyway. So I sent the shit in. It passes. We have a Zoom meeting. I'm meeting all the people. And they still talk about this interview to this day, because I'm sitting on the Zoom and they like, yeah, it's this, it's an opportunity for this. This what the show gonna be. You got any questions? I said, yeah. How much do it pay? That was like, nobody asked that. Like, but this is an industry where people got agents and lawyers and shit. I didn't have that.
None of that.
So I'm just like, I'm just a nigga coming. I just need to know how much it pay, if it's worth me hopping on a plane to go get an Airbnb for 4 months, or if it's gonna be some bullshit while I'm up there like trying to get a second job to pay for this job that I never really was trying to get in the first place. So like, they told me how much money it was, not during the interview, but like later.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was good money, bro. It's what them people make is crazy, but also it's fucked up, because like, don't know, a lot of shit don't come out of it till at the end of the year.
Right.
So you start spending that money and then you fuck, basically. Like, once you start putting the cost of living on that bitch, and you like, oh, let me spend this $4,000 I made this week. Nah, you really can't. You can spend like 1,000 of that 4,000, then you need to hold on
because it's gonna
and see what the tax man want and see what, and some of these niggas got lawyers and agents that be taking a percentage off top too before you even get your money and you pay the taxes on their shit.
Yeah, and
it's crazy.
And we ran out the stuff through our LLC, which was actually a good thing.
Which helped a lot. So at any rate, that's how I got the job. And then, the rest is kind of history, man. I actually really took to that job very well. I'm proud of myself for how it went. Bo say he proud of me, but also I'm proud of him because like what the job he did was super fucking hard. Like it, and for that to be his first time hosting a show in that format, that way, something that skilled comedians can't do, fail at all the time. Where you see the nigga hosting the show and you like, oh, this late night shit ain't gonna work for him. He killed that shit. So we got that second season, which I was proud of too. But once again, same thing, like, oh shit, I gotta go up here for 4 months again. Is this gonna be a thing? How long is it gonna happen? Whatever. But it was still like great, and I felt like I did a good job making sure that he got the best writing, the best like professional effort that I could give, and honestly, if I'm being frank, the people around me, because I just wasn't playing that bullshit. So I know it's just a job for them niggas because they gonna go to the next show and the next show and the next show. And to me, I'm like, yeah, but we need to make sure this shit tight. Like we can't be putting on no bullshit just because motherfuckers think it's funny or whatever to give a half-ass effort. So I wasn't mean to nobody, but I damn sure would, like, if motherfuckers was bullshitting, I'd be like, yeah, I'll write it then. You know what I mean? That was my mentality. If it was, hey man, I don't want to go out to the live taping of this thing on this man on the street shit, I'll go then. Like,
and he learned a lot. Right? It was like other departments that was like raved about Roderick. They was like, oh, he the best. We like him.
Yeah, I was good with everybody, man. I love working with everybody, even the people that didn't like each other. Everybody liked me. Because I was cordial, I was professional, I did the shit I said I was supposed to do, and yeah, I had a great time, man. Like I don't regret any of the time of doing it, but yeah, that's basically the story of the game theory stuff.
Yeah, you Swiss Army knifing like shit out here.
Yeah, I did a little bit of everything, man. It's fun.
And Roger's been writing forever. Like I've always raved about his writings and things.
And speaking of that, the Karen Hunter show, how did that come about?
Man, shout out to Twitter, bro. She just thought I was funny on Twitter. I don't even think she knew about the podcast or any of that stuff at the time. She would just see my jokes floating down the timeline and she just thought they were good. And then one day she DM'd me, and shout out to Karen Hunter because she is such a like woman of the people when it comes to this.
Yes, she is.
She just puts people on. Like, I know part of that is like, yo, I got a show, I got to talk 3 hours every day and I got to fill time, blah, blah, blah. But like, it's a professional operation. It's not just bring on anybody. It's, right. She vet them a little bit. And then I remember the first time I went on, she said, all right, now this ain't like Twitter and stuff. Like, I'm giving you taking a chance on you. I was on there with two stand-up comedians. She's like, I'm taking a chance on you, and we're gonna see if you can fit in. This is real, and just try to be funny, da 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 da. And I just, I almost smirked to myself like, nah, this is light work for me.
Right. We do live shows all the time.
I've done this podcast 3,000 times basically, and I ain't never made an edit to a single podcast. Everything y'all heard was live. So I'm great live. You know what I mean? When we do our live shows, Karen and Justin and some of the other people on the show, they get nervous. I have zero nerves. That's my bag right there. It's like, oh, finally we live. So to me, it was like, I take it serious and I'm professional, I'm funny, but I in my mind I was like, oh, I'm gonna blow her fucking socks off. She think I'm a fold. That's even better for me. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you play basketball and they're like, oh, I got the big man, he ain't gonna do, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna cross the shit out of your ass. So so then we had fun and went by real fast. She was constantly kind of surprised at how good I was, not just being funny, but even to talk the serious shit. And we struck it up. She's like, I gotta have you back another time. It went good. I said, cool. Just let me know. And she just had me back a few more times. And then at some point, I think it's just like basically almost every Friday now, they at least ask if I can be on, and I try to keep that time open to be on, and it's been a beautiful relationship because her fans are just
she has
so dope.
Some of the greatest fans. At the last, let's talk about the live show. At the last live show, she had fans. Her fans showed up at our live show.
Yes,
Really?
and she got a reach too, man. Like my aunts and uncles, when my rest in peace, my Uncle Alan. But when we went to his funeral, man, my family's already funny as shit. But like, it's like, we about to go to the grave site and all that stuff, and everybody been crying, you know what I'm saying? Everybody had their moments and whatnot, and there's been some laughs too and whatnot. But man, the amount of people that slid over to be like, hey, Karen Hunter, man, I seen you, nephew.
I heard you was on the Karen Hunter show.
Hey, man, that Foolishness Friday, man, that was funny, man, when you said such and such. And I'm like, oh, because that's her lane. You know what I'm saying? My family. So it actually really made sense that, one, we get along, but then two, that like I was able to fold in and have fun with her on Fridays, because it's like kicking in with some of my family members, where it's like we silly, we still can be serious and talk about other stuff, but we there to have a good time. It's not no fake ass like let's argue to argue. It's not no let's just get along to pretend like we're getting along. It's like, nah, genuinely, you could be a real person. And she's funny and very talented as shit. So like that's really how it happened. It wasn't nothing like the Bomani opportunities. It wasn't nothing I did special. I understand there's a lot of networking and stuff that people do in the entertainment industry, and I'm not saying they shouldn't. I just have never had to do it, and I've not liked to do it. I've never wanted to feel like I forced my way into somewhere. I never wanted to feel like I begged my way into somewhere. I always just try to be pleasant to be around and have a good time with folks and let my talent shine. And I feel like, honestly, that shit has worked for me my whole life. I was telling somebody the other day, I still have never had a job interview where I didn't get the job to this day. And at first it was just like I went to college, but it's starting to get ridiculous now, because like these ain't jobs that I have the training for no more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't have the training to be a writer. I had the training to hop on a radio show like that,
Yeah, and we got to do it live, like just me and you.
Yeah, just the last couple weeks ago, she had us actually host a Friday.
I saw
which
that.
is huge for us, man. That was fun as shit. But it's different than doing a podcast.
Yes,
so
it
it was like a learning experience, and I always try to learn something whenever I'm doing this new shit. So yeah, bro, it's really been a godsend, and she's a great person.
Yes, she is.
So what was the difference between doing the live show versus the podcast format?
So one, you got a whole fucking production room, right? So you got the producer in your ear. You got people fielding the calls, describing the callers calling in. You got to constantly say the phone number, constantly reset the room by reminding who's on the air with you so that they know who they listening to when you have guests and stuff. And I didn't take it easy on myself. I booked guests and everything. So it wasn't just going to be like the podcast with me and Karen just doing topics. And then the biggest difference, and hopefully if we ever do it again, I'll get even better at this. You want to set up your topics like 1, 2, 3, 4, however many at the front of the show. Then you repeat throughout with the callers or go back to the topic with the guest. But you want to have 3 to 4 topics right away, instead of what I did was like podcasting, where we do segments, right? So, okay, first segment, we're going to talk about Trump. Second segment, we're going to talk about this crazy story. Third segment, we're going to talk about times that we got sick or some shit, right? And so the way you really should do it is be like, yo, this is a crazy story happening with Trump today. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe get 1 or 2 thoughts from Karen or whatever. We should have introduced ourselves a little more up front. That's on me. And then 2, don't forget about this other story about times you got sick. Oh, and don't forget about this. And that's how you keep it rolling and just going. So you almost want to front load it with topics.
Okay.
Because I had a great story about a woman that busted in somebody's house for a threesome, and I didn't introduce it until like 30 minutes left.
Right. So
and she like texted me. She was like, "No, that's first hour shit. You should have like said that as soon as you got on the air, because you could have got some crazy stories of people who had like weird threesomes calling in. And I'm like, of course, it's not like a podcast. I'm thinking it's like being a stand-up. You want to end on the highest funny story. Nah, you want to start with that shit and then build. So that's what I learned.
Man, that's so awesome that your talent, the way that your talent speaks for itself, and it's just opened up so many doors and opportunities for you and Karen. That's a testament to y'all's greatness.
Appreciate you, man.
So now, Charlotte Hornets. Let's talk about it. So I remember when the Hornets first came into the league, and how big of a deal that was. And man, I remember there was a local channel in Charleston. It was a Channel 24, and they used to always show the Hornets games on that channel. And I was so tapped in to the Hornets, like from the word go. Like, even though I'm a Thunder fan, the Hornets are my secondary team because they're close to home, so to speak. So what was it like for you two whenever y'all got wind that the Hornets were going to be the newest franchise in the NBA?
For me, it was nothing but excitement. I have always loved the NBA. I remember watching Michael Jordan on the Chicago channel, whatever channel that is here, on the cable, and watching Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, I have always been a fan. And so when they had announced that they was building the arena, our family got excited. And not the new arena's downtown.
Yeah.
But the very first arena, the old arena, was literally up the street from one of my aunt's houses. So what we would do is, like, really late at night, like 11, 12, 1 or 2 in the morning, she would move the barriers, and me and her and my cousin would ride the road and watch them slowly build the Coliseum, because they would have to have it lit up because they don't want nobody stealing shit.
Yeah.
So we ride by, we would actually see them slowly, like, building up. So every few weeks until they finished it. And so we used to do that. And we used to just love going to the games. And for years, Charlotte used to break the records for attendance. Like, we were sucked, but it was like it was hard to get tickets and all that stuff. And because people underestimated that. It was one of those things where everybody would talk about the Hornets, everybody knew the Hornets, everybody loved the color schemes. The very first game, they lost, but the crowd cheered like they won.
I remember that.
And the players was like, "Oh, this is something special." And so I really hated that George Shinn destroyed the connection with the community. Because once he destroyed that, it was very, very hard to get a lot of those fans back once he did the things that he did with them. And I was hurt when the Hornets left. So I understand Seattle, and I understand the other people who've never had a team, or you've never had a team leave, does not understand that feeling when you don't have a team.
Yeah.
Because it's, it's very distraught, it's very heartbreaking, knowing that your team is now in New Orleans, and they end up bringing them back. But that's the thing, you're not guaranteed they're going to come back. Because people are like, well, no. I was like, no, when they leave, you ain't guaranteed they're coming back. And so that's not a thing. And so we used to love to go to the Hornets games. We used to love to go to the Sting games. That's why I was hurt when they decided that they were no longer going to support the Sting. And the reason why, because, bitch, I would be in the motherfucking house watching Caitlin Clark, and watching them. But I can't do it because the closest one is like Atlanta. I mean, I thought about it, but I'm like, shit, now I got to travel. Versus me just being able to go up the street to the arena. So I know with the expansion, I really do hope they bring this thing back here in Charlotte, because that will mean a lot to the city, a lot with their growth. So I have been day one in all the way Hornets fan, Hornets down. Hornets has been my favorite team. I've been with them through it all.
Man, how about you,
similar?
Rod?
Yeah, similar, man. When they got here, it was a big deal. You know, my dad would take us to like a game or two a season, you know. I still remember getting to see Michael Jordan play against the Hornets and dunk on Alonzo Mourning. That was fucking insane. And just fun times, man. And just the whole city was behind us, the hottest ticket, and the Hive used to be fucking jumping every night. It was like a event. It was a place to be because we didn't have shit.
Right.
And I think now it's a little more cynical and jaded. Of course, we've been through a few experiences, ups and downs with.
And you have a lot of transplants. I tell people when you have transplants, these people don't give a fuck because this is not their home team. Versus some of these other places, you know, you have generations of people that grew up with it, like Green Bay. So they're going like, yeah, we love our team. But when you have a bunch of people where you go to a Hornets game, it's New York, but it's more New York Knicks fans in there than Hornets fans. Like it's not.
Well, it's also because the team is down bad.
Right.
But I think it's the kind of city where if the team is good now it'll bring the love back.
Right.
But the team got to be good. It got to show. We ain't made a playoff in like 15 years. So you got to like show the people that it's worth coming out, and people will come out. But yeah, at that time, man, it was just such an event and such a place to be, and it was right up the street from where we live. And so I just loved going to those games, and Karen and I eventually ended up going to like the Hornets games as they were about to leave with George Shin. We went to Bobcats games.
Yeah, went to the Bobcats
when they were in there. And yeah, I just love basketball, and I have some very fond memories of that spot. So that was basically how I got into it. And we was just like a cool team to like. The color scheme, everyone had the fucking starter jackets.
Yes.
I love when we got to host the school jam. That was dope as fuck.
Yeah.
Like we just had some iconic moments with the Hornets. So and I'm glad we got them back. And you know, that's why I still support them to this day, is because, you know, I remember when we didn't have them, and that was just the saddest shit ever.
Right.
I missed the Hive, man, right there off of Tabola Road. And the thing I used to love is it has such a local element to it to me, because I remember watching them on TV. And I remember seeing the Food Lion signs in the arena and seeing First Union and like NCNB. I'm like, man, this is because we had the same shit down here in South Carolina. I was like, man, this is cool as shit. And like you were saying with the back to school jam, Rod, one of the moments that stood out to me was when they had the mascot dunk contest. And Hugo did that front flip off the trampoline, and the crowd. It was almost like when Vince Carter did the dunk.
Yes.
Put the elbow in the rim. It was like it was just silence because they couldn't digest what just happened.
Bruh,
Like,
I miss the old Super Hugo.
The first one.
The first one, because like now they just have like, you could tell they just got these brothers in costumes.
Yeah, it ain't.
And they just rotating.
Yeah.
And they all do the same dunk and shit. And I'm like, nah, it hit different when Hugo used to do it. But yeah, that was like peak fun 90s culture, 80s and 90s culture. And also a great time for the NBA. And even though we never got to like championship level competition, we just getting out the first round a couple times was like an amazing feeling to watch. So yeah, that's my dogs.
Yeah, and also when you're talking about the local vibe and local feel, and this is before a lot of the sponsors, they used to have like local restaurants and stuff actually be some of the venues. You know how you have the people when you walk around the stalls. It ain't like it is now where it's all kind of sponsored, you know, and paid for and all that stuff. And I do not remember in the restaurant, probably not even here no more, but me and Roger used to find these two black ladies. They had the best nachos I've ever had in my life. And me and Roger would actually pick the tickets in that area because there was no other place like it and get them nachos every single time we were there. And you wouldn't go get that from no Bojangles or no, you know, Chick-fil-A. It was like a local restaurant of like black people. And I don't know what they did to them nachos, but everything was delicious. Like you're not getting that anymore. Not with all the sponsorships and stuff like that.
So who were some of your favorite Hornets players? Just past and present.
Alonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson, Muggsy Bogues. And it's one of those things where I hate the ownership didn't do their job and actually pay those players to keep those players here for longer periods of time. Because not only was it sour for the fans, it was sour for them. We just had our 35th anniversary, and there was some players that normally we would have honored, but they like fuck y'all and fuck the city.
Yeah.
And so we didn't even get to celebrate certain players because the owner left such a sour taste in their mouth, and the city turned on them so bad that they was like, we don't care, you know. And we seen them go off to other places and actually be great, and we see them be honored and all that stuff. And I was like, I would love for y'all to come here because it would not be no Charlotte Hornets without y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, Baron Davis.
Yes.
I still have a story of when I played ball with him, and it's one of my favorite stories of all time is him throwing an alley-oop 360 two-hand dunk off the glass to himself. And me and my homies realizing, oh shit, that's Baron Davis. Like he grew his hair out and everything that summer. He didn't even look the same as when he came out of college. And he came over and said, hey man, what's up, man? My name Baron. We like, all right, nigga, like, who introduces themselves at a basketball court? Just tie your shoes up and let's ball. And these car salesmen we played ball with, we was still in college. So we was out there running their ass. And they was like grown ass men and shit. And they was renting out this gym. And here we come every Sunday, me, my brother, Sport, and we just fucking like busting their ass. And they got tired of that shit. And so I know one of them girl was like a Charlotte Hornets honeybee. And so I don't know if that was to connect or not, but whatever happened, Baron Davis showed up and my name Baron. I'm like, all right, whatever. First play of the game, ripped my man Sport mid dribble he was trying to do the sham God to him. He took that shit right out the motherfucking like air. Not when the ball hit the ground. He took the shit while I was dribbling and they struggled over it. He yanked it from Sport, dribbled down, threw this shit out the backboard, two hand. You don't even see that in NBA games. You don't see that in video games.
Yeah.
And me, my brother in Sport, we all looked at each other and said, that's Baron Davis. And then he proceeded to be a fucking menace on that court for the next 2 weeks, bro. It was crazy.
It was something. Oh, and current players, LaMelo Ball. I love that kid. I love him a lot.
And then him and then Kemba. I gotta give it to Kemba because Kemba held us down when we didn't have shit.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Kemba might be my favorite Hornet.
Yeah, bro. He a lot of people forget that story. Like he basically came out of college playing shooting guard, moved to point guard because that was his size. The first year kind of struggled through it, and then like took off, trained during the summer, and then like he was a staple for the Hornets, and they never really got a good team around him. But he just at his peak, he was like getting us into playoff contention just on him being a beast, and I love those teams.
Me too. Love him. Oh, Al Jefferson. I can't forget Al Jefferson.
Yeah, Big Al in the paint.
Yes. So now we're going to get to the 5 question segment. So the first and last question are the same question I ask every guest I have on here. Questions 2 through 4 are 100% random. So question number 1, and Karen, I'll start with you. What were your go-to school lunch items?
Ooh, I was a free and reduced lunch kid. So for me, I actually love the school pizza. This changed a lot. So I like to do like the school pizza and like French fries. Like that right there was my jam. You couldn't tell me nothing on them days. That was me. I love pizza. And when I tell people I love pizza, they always laugh at me. I say, no, you don't understand. I love breakfast pizza, lunch pizza, dinner pizza, dessert pizza. So that's my jam. If it's pizza form, I'm gonna eat it.
How about you, Rod?
And I have to go a little bougie on this one and say the Domino's pizza.
Y'all had
when I got to high school and they would bring Domino's pizza in and it was like $1.50 a slice.
Word?
And and like at the time I want to say lunch from the regular like if you want to get lunch, I want to say it was like $2.50 or something for me. And so basically, you say your lunch up for a couple of days, you can get a couple slices of pizza instead. So I get like a slice of pizza and like a Coke or some shit every day. And if on a good day, you get a couple slices and that was it, bro. That never missed. Like that motherfucking Domino. I don't know why that Domino was so good in school, but not necessarily anywhere else, but that shit in school, it was
So it's like a forbidden food.
yeah, it felt like you was having a fine dining experience.
And people get jealous of you. Ooh, you spent money.
Yeah, you afford Domino's that day. You feel like you somebody, bro. I had a little job with working at McDonald's and shit. I'm like, I'm getting Domino's a day, nigga. So yeah, that was probably my one for like the luxury shit. And then just for regular food, man. Honestly, dog, the one they sleep on is the motherfucking turkey with the stuffing shit. Like they only have it for like Thanksgiving, that slice of turkey and that gravy with the stuffing. That shit never missed for me.
I completely forgot about that. You're the first person that ever brought that up on the podcast. Man.
I used to be mad as shit when we ain't get no more because they have it on like the day before Thanksgiving, and then that's you out of school Thursday, Friday.
That's a good point.
Sometimes they might have like leftovers on Monday or something, but very rarely would you get that shit twice in a year.
Yeah, and there was a crapshoot when you look at the morning news and they have the school lunch announcements and you see manager's choice. I'm like, oh shit.
Right.
We about to get stuffed bell peppers again.
Yeah, bro. Here come the bullshit.
Right.
Question number 2. Who surprised you the most upon discovering that they listened to your podcast?
Ooh. I mean, it's easy for me, bro. Andre 3000.
What?
Like, yeah. Finding out he listened to the show was fucking crazy. And I found out because I don't know if they're still dating, but at the time, like his girl listened to the show. And she was like, yeah, I'll put him on to it. I play it when I'm in the shower and shit. And he'd be like, who is that? And I'm just, she's telling me this. I can't even, I'm like,
wow.
My brain is not working. And that was probably the biggest, like, oh my God. There's a lot of them, but that's the biggest, like, oh my God. And he, to this day, like, I don't even know that he knows we listen or whatever. I don't know if he still listens or whatever the fuck. I like it, but just that there was any point in time where this nigga,
right,
and it wasn't just us. He listened to Where's My 40 Acres. He like popped up on them at Comic-Con. He was a real fan.
Wow.
It's just amazing to me. I can't even believe that happened. So he's the one for me.
I think one of my favorite ones, particularly meeting face to face, was Fonte. When we went to go see Chris Lambert and Fonte was there, and Fonte was like, yeah, I heard what you said on your little podcast.
Yeah, that was to me because I
remember
I didn't like Charity Starts at Home.
Yeah.
Because it made me too sad. He was too good at rapping and shit, and it made me sad. I was like, I don't want to hear about this man's life falling apart. And I just, once again, it's back when I just thought, oh, it's just us talking. And man, and here I am getting to meet him thinking like, oh, one of my biggest favorite artists in hip hop, just like soundtrack to a lot of my life. And first thing he said to me was like, I heard what you said on your show. And I'm like, what did I say? Like, it must have been good because I love Little Brother and I love Fonte. And he's like, oh, it's about Charity Starts at Home and how you ain't like. I was like, fuck. Like, why had to be that? Like, I forgot about that shit. But nah, it led to one of my favorite episodes. Speaking of favorite episodes, was Fonte's Revenge. The Revenge, I think it was like Tigalo's Revenge.
Tigalo's Reckoning.
You're Reckoning, that's it. Yeah, he came on the show and we like chopped it up, and he's like real solid of earth, great guy, man. I really appreciate that, brother.
Question number 3. What's your go-to order at Cowfish?
All right, so appetizers off top, I gotta go with the calamari.
I like the crab rangoon.
The crab rangoon, the crab rangoon is good too.
Yes, that's my personal favorite.
Yeah, but we'll double appetize it at Cowfish. No problem, because we don't go all the time. So it's like we go, it's a treat, and you get to take some home and warm it back up. So like them joints don't miss, but you can't sleep on them motherfucking the crackers with the sushi on them and the crab rangoon.
Yeah,
them joints good too.
I don't know what it's called, but yes.
And then for my order, that Natured Boy, that whooshy, whatever they call it,
the whooshy buffalo whooshy roll,
bruh. That shit is good, man. That joint is real good, and I don't know if that's the same one. If that's the one that got the pulled pork on it too, If it's a different roll, that pulled pork one don't miss either. So like I love the Cowfish burgushi because
Yes.
that you ain't getting that. Like people that go to Cowfish and order sushi, like cool, that's cool, but I'm not going and eating no shit at Cowfish that I could just get at a sushi restaurant.
Ain't
I
that
want
the truth?
I want a burger that you turn into a motherfucking sushi roll, nigga. That's what's hitting. So yeah, that burgushi is good.
And one time, and I don't know, we went around Thanksgiving one time, and they basically had a turkey roll that was absolutely flamed. It had stuffing and dressing, and cranberry sauce. That shit was flamed.
They sent me the email. Karen didn't even know. And I'm like, I'm going up there just to get this roll. And we get there and I ordered that motherfucking roll, bro. And I mean, it had like stuffing, it had dressing in it. No, stuffing in it. It had gravy on it. It had turkey.
It had cranberry.
It had cranberry on it.
It
was
so good.
That motherfucker, I ate that shit so fast, bro. It was so fucking good. And I know it was seasonal, but like that, they did the thing with that shit. So yeah, that's a great call, Karen. That Thanksgiving roll, that's the one.
Yeah, because you can only get it if they serve it around Thanksgiving. They don't do it no other time of the year.
Well, I think it was new. I think this is their first time doing it.
Okay, that was their first time.
Yeah, they sent the email and shit. I'm like, I was big into like trying. I wanted Thanksgiving rolls. Like someone also had made at the People's Market. I drove across town because they made Thanksgiving burrito.
Oh, that
shit was banging.
Absolutely.
I seen the picture on Instagram. I said, it's the thirstiest, fattest shit I ever did. But they posted the picture on Instagram. I hopped in the comments. I said, hey, so when y'all got this right now? They said, yeah. I said, what? Okay, what time y'all like open or whatever? They was like, this time. I said, I'm gonna see y'all. Damn sure I rode the fuck over there and got that shit. That shit was hitting.
It was delicious.
Man. So I gotta say, my my appetizer at Cowfish, I always go with the Parmesan truffle fries.
Them joints is good too.
For my appetizer, and then I get the Woofy Buffalushi roll, and then for my dessert, I always get that tall fresh berry cake. And I love seeing a reaction from the people around me whenever they bring that cake out. I mean, they has like turned like owls.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
What is that?
That shit epic, dog. Cowfish is good money, man.
It is. It never steers me wrong. Matter of fact, I was there the last time I came up.
Yeah, dog. They zero misses in my. I've gone a bunch of times, zero misses.
And I would have never known about the greatness of Cowfish if it weren't for y'all. So kudos to y'all for bringing that.
Appreciate it, man. Anything we can do to spread the word for them.
Question number 4. What's your favorite NES game?
Mine would have to be the Legend of Zelda Link's, I want to say Link's Awakening.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was on NES.
So on the NES system, or you just mean Nintendo. Period?
In Nintendo, like the old school, the 8-bit Nintendo.
Okay, the 8-bit. Okay.
I think that was on that system. Let me check.
Well, I will say shit. Let's see. That's Paperboy. That's Mario Bros. That's Excite Bike, I think.
Yeah.
You know what? It's Ninja Gaiden. That's mine.
Good call.
That was my one, bro.
That game was so hard.
It was so hard, but man, that was back when you just had to get good.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there wasn't no guides or no fucking YouTube tutorials, nigga. It was the $40 your parents spent on that game and that controller, brother. You better figure it out if you want to get some. So I got real good at Ninja Gaiden, bro. I don't think I ever beat it just because like they always made them impossibly hard by the time you get to like the last levels, and this is before save. So unless you had a game genie, you had to start over at the beginning when you lost. But that joint went hard, man. I think Ninja Gaiden is probably my favorite one.
Man, I probably have to say, honestly, my favorite NES game I probably have to say RC Pro-Am. Either RC.
Damn, that was a good one too.
Yeah, oh my God, so many summers just killing time playing that game.
Yeah.
And then, last question: what was the last thing that really made you laugh?
Honestly, dog, when we just got on the air and we chopped it up about the church's chicken story from our podcast. Like, I feel like I laugh a lot all the time, man.
Me too.
So like that was funny as shit, man. I didn't even think about how funny that story was until you brought it up, and then we chopped it up before we started recording, and it came up with like 2-3 more jokes. So like, yeah, that's that one.
Yeah, me too. That, and I've been laughing all weekend with the Drake and Kendrick beat. I have been partying and laughing. It's been fun.
Oh my God.
Yeah, them songs, I Not Like Us probably made me laugh like it was a stand-up special.
Yes.
Dude, that was a moment.
Yeah, bro.
That was a moment.
I've been cracking up at just how much he hates this dude the whole time.
He on a mission.
And I felt it in the forest early, but like, you know, you could think something and then you know, turn out that I was right with that. When I heard like that, I said, oh, he hate this dude. This not about, this is some other shit. He been waiting to get this nigga.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that joint, and then there's one line that made me laugh hysterically in 616, which isn't a funny line, but it's him going, "You must be a terrible person." I don't know why that shit is funny. It is funny as shit. To hate a nigga that much, you not even clever no more. You just like all them double entendres. He dropped all the double entendres just to have a moment of like, I'm talking to you, nigga. You're a bad guy.
This is a personal one-man mission.
God.
Yes. No bells, no whistles, just straight up.
Bro.
You're a terrible person.
Black Twitter has been in shambles since this beef started, but it got to nigger Navy levels.
Yes,
this weekend.
I haven't had this much fun on Twitter in a very long time.
They got Karen tweeting again, and she don't never tweet.
Yeah, because everybody is so serious all the time and so down and so sad. I was like, I can't take it. But this right here was fun.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I'm here for the fun, the jokes, the memes, the dancing. You know, I'm here for Metro making a beat, and next thing you know is in Spanish. You got the band, because they got this thing where like one person playing a trumpet, one person playing a trombone, one person playing a tuba. They put them all on top of each other.
Yeah.
Oh, I have been having a ball.
Man, the mariachi band, that was crazy.
Man, when they started putting the motherfucking clips of other people dancing, but to the Not Like Us, and like it became like almost like the new Beyonce Always on Beat challenge, where it was like just video after video. The one that took me down though is still the first one I saw, which is that nerdy white dude that's dancing with the sister. And they doing like the wine and the shit. When that shit was on the beat, I said, "Yeah, bro, he got him one."
Yeah, because it is on beat. I am here for it, and I was like, "Let the jokes commence," and it was just tomfoolery. And people was trying to talk about black on black crime of being serious. Like, if you don't get out my face, nigga, with the seriousness, nobody cares. Not read your journal entry. Don't give a fuck. I'm about jokes.
Yeah, but Mick Lovin doing that wine, that was
bruh.
That shit threw me off.
Yes, because you didn't see it coming.
That was when I knew he had ascended past, like, you know, oh, this is a good beef like reply to, oh, this is a hit song.
They started.
This shit is gonna be
playing in the club within a few hours.
This shit's gonna be a problem for Drake for a while, because
it's gonna be a summer hit.
Yeah, nothing's worse than like niggas dancing to you being a pedophile or laughing about you being like, that's the beauty of comedy that I love too, is like the ability to like take something funny and make it powerful because it's undeniably funny.
Yeah,
that's really what Drake going through right now, and I love it.
Yeah, that's why he waved the red flag and
white flag.
I mean the white flag, and I completely understand it. It's one of those things where somebody brought it up online. I thought about it, man. What is it? May, July, about July, August. When the bands get together, they're gonna be practicing this stuff. So I can't wait for like your homecomings and your football games and things like that. You're gonna be the flag girls gonna be dancing, flipping flags, and it's gonna be fun. Let's go.
And Karen, thank you for sealing a deal with a tank. I love that. Wave the red flag. That's incredible. I was like, man, I'm disappointed. She ain't tanking nothing.
She got you.
But
I got you covered.
Anything y'all want to plug or promote? The floor is yours.
Oh man, just check out the blackouttips.com, man. Everywhere you get podcasts, search the Blackout Tips and come check us out. And Danny, thanks for having us, bro.
Yeah, baby.
Man, thank y'all for being guests. I greatly appreciate this. It was such a treat to chop it up with y'all. And make sure y'all like, download, and subscribe to Since We Last Spoke with Danny Foxworth. Make sure you follow my YouTube channel and subscribe to that. It's at Danny Foxworth 843. There you can find all the video versions of episodes from this podcast as well as my baseball podcast, At the Plate with Danny Foxworth. And for Karen Rod and myself, this has been another episode of Since We Last Spoken. Until next time, y'all be good. Peace.